I should amend my last post while connecting it to why despite Meta's fuck shit, I'm still in VR spaces. When I said that I was choosing between or never lived without food or a place to sleep, what I mean is that either in my early life, as soon as I was able to get to other people's houses to sleep, I did that, and I didn't feel safe or comfortable to sleep at home because of how abusive it was. So I escaped, or the places that I escaped to were abusive. And I, in my late teens into my 20s, had started being vegan because of the SANSV that I experienced and the human animal oppression that I became aware of, that I refused to reinforce anymore because I knew what it felt like to experience violence. And the SANSV that those systems depend upon to run was something I refused to take part in anymore as an autistic person and survivor. So this is to say, I chose consistently to not eat food in spaces where I could have, to stick to that moral backbone, because it was more important to me to make sure I wasn't contributing to those acts of violence than it was to feed myself, or I was somewhere where I had a few pretzels or chips, and if I scrounged together credit a thing of tofu. So I was actively starving every day while acting like it was fine because it was my normal. So this is to say, by the time that I reached my early 20s, after many more acts of violence, I had already become deeply accustomed with how much the society fails us and is violent. And then when COVID started, it only stacked on top of that. Because as someone that's kept up with the research, I know how sickening, disabling, and deadly it is. And so one of the only social spaces I have, besides being on lives on this app and posting content, is existing in virtual spaces. Because unfortunately, we get to choose between taking part in a eugenics and fascist society owned by billionaires on virtual reality or off virtual reality. And off virtual reality has too many health risks that I cannot afford to take. Because the last time that I got C19 in 2022, I was bedridden for 5 days and it nearly killed me. And then it ruined my body for many years since. I'm barely recovering from that ever since. So I spend 97% of my life inside an apartment or another. So when I say that I bought the headset that only allows you to exist if you have a Facebook account, because Meta owns it, and I bought it 3 years ago before I knew anything about what Meta was doing fully. And it's the only social space that I have because the societies globally have decided to ignore a sickening, disabling, and deadly virus. Not everyone has the privilege to just not take part in Meta, because not all of us are willing to ignore a disabling and deadly virus and get repeatedly infected with it in any way that we possibly can. And yeah, obviously, being able to not take part is another different type of privilege, but simultaneously, it is robbing me of my ability to exist in person, in community, and that cannot be understated. It feels like every new person I meet is either someone that knows me as a content creator and I don't feel comfortable becoming friends with, or is not a person safe to be around because they refuse to mask for C19. I'm aware there are folks that fall outside of those things, but it's really fucking hard to find them. And that isn't a conundrum anyone should be having to experience, just as no one should be experiencing starvation or homelessness.